Now, here's the journey of these bloodlines. You can pick it up at some point through history. It goes way back. Let's pick it up here. These societies, these more advanced societies, Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, China, etc., they started to appear as the first more advanced societies after the cataclysm. What history does is pick up the cradle of civilization in places like Sumer and what have you. That wasn't the cradle of civilization. These societies were when human society had reached a certain point again after recovering from the great cataclysmic events that destroyed the previous society, much more advanced. In this area of the world, Sumer, which is now, of course, Iraq, became Babylon, why there's so much Babylon symbolism in human society today. Egypt, a lot of the bloodlines came from here, but they were seeded all over the world, and they talked about entities interbreeding with humans and creating royal bloodlines and what have you in various tablets found in Iraq, under Iraq in the last century or so. And these bloodlines moved out into northern Europe. They became the founders of Rome, and they interbred with other bloodlines in Europe, and they became the European royal families and aristocracy. And eventually, through the great British Empire, the French Empire, great only in size, by the way, in my view, and other European empires, they sent these bloodlines all over the world in the great colonial frenzy of taking the planet over. But there's two types of control. One has a finite life, one has an infinite life until it's exposed. The one that has a finite life is when you, like fascism, communism, apartheid, that which is subject to the control can see the controllers. Because eventually, it might take some time, there will be a rebellion against that. The greatest form of control is control you can't see, where they give you a vote every 4 or 5 years, and yet behind the scenes, the same people are in power behind the scenes all the time, no matter who's officially in power in politics. And that's what they did in the colonial system. They apparently withdrew back into their countries and gave independence to the former colonies like the United States and Canada and etc. around the world. But what they did was left out in those countries the bloodline under different names and the secret society network through which they manipulate the bloodline and its agents into power, and they've gone on covertly controlling those countries ever since. And what they've created is a secret society and bloodline version of a transnational corporation. What happens with a transnational corporation? Take McDonald's, please. Take McDonald's, if you will, as far as you can. But take McDonald's as an example. They have a headquarters in America, and in each country they have subsidiaries. And the subsidiaries carry out the diktats of the headquarters. And thus, if you go into a McDonald's in Russia or Australia or South Africa or wherever, you go into basically the same McDonald's. What they've done with the Bloodline Global Network is they have a headquarters. Funnily enough, America's very, very influential, but the headquarters is in Europe. It's in places like the City of London, Rome, Brussels, Berlin, etc., Paris. And from the center, they have subsidiaries in the different countries. These are subsidiary networks of bloodlines under different names and the secret society network within that country. And that network's brief or job is to impose in their sphere of influence, their country, what is centrally dictated from the headquarters. Thus, as I've traveled around the world, I've seen the same things being introduced in different countries around the same time, often justified by the same excuses. And it even goes further, because the national network has subsidiaries in the towns, cities and communities. And thus, from the headquarters, they can manipulate down into a local community, if they wish, through this network. And they've created this structure in which they have not just infiltrated, but created the organizations that run and control the direction of the world. I get into some of them. But what the vast, overwhelming majority of researchers into this conspiracy do not see, or do not want to go there, is the fact that there comes a point where this human network goes up into or out into other dimensions of reality, and the dictating force is not human. And common themes. The number of times you see around the world depictions in different societies of half human, half reptile entities. This is obviously in Asia. And the depiction of the interaction between reptilian entities and humans, and part human, part something else. The gargoyles on the churches built by these secret societies, like the Knights Templar, and on the castles and mansions of the elite bloodlines, they are symbolically these entities. So many of the coats of arms of these bloodlines carry reptilian themes. The whole logo of the City of London, or Babylondon as I call it, because it's one of the great central focuses of control, not only through finance either, is a reptilian holding the red cross and the white background of the Knights Templar, one of the major secret societies in this network. One of the key points in London, for this conspiracy anyway, where the City of London meets Temple, or Temple Bar, or the Temple region, which is the legal profession and courts, is this flying reptile on a pedestal right in the middle of the road. They put these things everywhere. Now, there's another common theme, this is all over the world, of reptilian-type entities eating humans. There's so many of them, it's unbelievable. This is Central American, as the previous one was. Here's some more, and often they'll put a crown on the top, because this is the royal bloodline. This is where the divine right to rule comes from, or the idea of it. It's the belief that you have the right to rule because of your genetic descendants from these gods, the divine right to rule. There again, a similar one. Here's other ones, and logos and coats of arms and what have you. And there's Alfa Romeo, the same, and of course the red cross and the white background of the Knights Templar. You see this reptilian theme coming up a lot in entertainment, because these bloodlines and their networks control Hollywood, and they control the entertainment industry in general. This is an advert, a Nike advert, where this American footballer was depicted as reptilian, and the theme of it was, because of that, he was better than anybody else. And at the end of the Thriller video, when Michael Jackson turned round, they were reptilian eyes. They could have been lots of different eyes, but they were reptilian. And this happens because of what I said earlier. All these different things are worshipping the same basic force, and thus this symbolism of this force appears in all these different areas, not just these, also banking and politics and stuff. Now, a lot of these bloodlines are Satanist. In fact, the major ones are all Satanists. And by that I mean they are into human sacrifice, human blood drinking, and all that other stuff, sacrifice of children. And it's been going on way back. And people have no problem with the fact that it was going, oh yeah, those ancients used to do that, and the Aztecs and all that stuff. But they can't expand that perception of the possible that it's still going on. It is massively going on. The fact is, it was openly going on then it became unacceptable to the population in general, and it's gone on secretly ever since. And what I've talked to a lot of Satanists, former Satanists, and I guess former Satanists, who've told me common themes about what goes on in these rituals. And you know, these entities are feeding off human energy. And one of the things that they do is, when they're sacrificing somebody, the people with invisible light, the Satanists and the bloodlines, they'll drink the blood, because when the terror reaches a certain point in the ritual, a certain adrenaline goes in the blood, which gives these people a high. I mean, sick is not the word. But on another level, an energetic level, the entities are feeding off the energy coming off of terror and fear of the sacrifice. And the other thing that they tell me happens in these rituals is they create an energetic environment, like a stepping stone energy environment, where these entities can come through and manifest, not for long, but for a while. Common themes. Now, this is David Berkowitz. He went to jail for the Son of Sam serial killings in New York, and after he was jailed, he said, he corresponded with a Christian minister, and he said, yeah, I did it, but I did it as part of a satanic coven, a satanic cult that arranged it all for me, and I was just the guy who did it. And he said at one point in his correspondence, Satanists are peculiar people. They aren't ignorant peasants or semi-literate natives. Rather, their ranks are filled with doctors, lawyers, businessmen, and basically highly responsible citizens. They are not a careless group or are apt to make mistakes, but they are secretive and bonded together by a common need and desire to mete out havoc on society. It was Aleister Crowley who said, I want blasphemy, murder, rape, revolution, anything bad. What does that do? It pulls that energy that they feed off, but it also pulls people into low vibrational states of awareness. And the two major colors of Satanism, for frequency reasons, are black. Black is the absence of light and absorbs light in all frequencies, and red, which is the lowest, longest frequency color.
Conjure their master possess